Stupid big seagull. Lame.
Sitting on 13's wheelchair, hella clean. I used to knit and sew, but now I'm off that BETV screen.
Well, he can vortex that sucker up there in no time and we'll be out of Ewan's hair just in time to catch the last episode of Criminal Minds.
Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today, happy Thanksgiving. It is Turkey Day. I'm super excited about it. Well, actually, for me right now, I'm recording this the day before, and that's because Thanksgiving, I am going to have a heck of a task ahead of me with all day worth of cooking. So, taking care of this now, I am reviewing, unfortunately, the movie ThanksKilling 3. Last year I did ThanksKilling, and honestly, out of the entire pool of horror movies out there, there are remarkably few Thanksgiving-based ones. Plenty of Christmas ones, very few Thanksgiving ones. In fact, I think there are only two, ThanksKilling and ThanksKilling 3. So, second Thanksgiving of doing this channel. Let's go ahead and get it done. So I watched this last night, and I'm very, very sad that I did. That's pretty much what it comes down to. This was absolutely terrible. I was just watching. It's like, man, this was tough. This was a rough one. I'm really, really not joking here. I was going through this. First of all, I watched, 30, 35 minutes of it. Felt like 5 years. And it was, I just had to turn it off. I had to walk away for a little bit. And there was a genuine part of me that was ready to shut down the channel rather than continue watching the rest of this fucking movie. Oh my God, it was just that bad. And I want to make it perfectly crystal clear here. I want to make this absolutely 100% clear. This is not a movie that is so bad that it's good. This is simply a movie that is just bad all around. I actually mentioned in my review of ThanksKilling, the first one, that it had moments where it was so bad that it was good, but then it just kind of continued on and kind of got a little lost and a little meandering and a little too zany and kind of wound up back in a place of so bad that it's bad. Here's the thing, is if you've seen the first one and you liked it, your mileage may vary on this one. I don't know. It's possible. See, here's the thing, is ThanksKilling is the kind of movie where I will put it on for people and watch the cringe happen. Happily. It'll be Thanksgiving, we'll all be stuffed, have our, dinner in our tummies, and then like, hey, I got a movie for us to watch, and throw on ThanksKilling, just watch them roll their eyes and look at me like, what are you doing to us? And I think that that's a fun moment. I mean, it's all in jest, it's all jovial, everybody that knows me, knows what they're in for. I would not do that with this movie. It is just that bad. Okay. All right, here's the deal. When I used to work back in the day, back when I was a teenager, years and years and years ago. I used to work at a Jack in the Box back in San Diego. And I remember coming off of a shift, like a full day's shift. And it was 8 hours, and I was tired, my feet hurt. And the one thing I remember is I got home, and for the next, several hours, I smelled like French fries, and I felt greasy. I felt oogie. I just had that on my, just kind of greasy feeling on me, just kind of having it in the air surrounding me for 8 hours, and then finally getting out of that situation. That's how I felt when I was done watching this movie. I did go back, I did reapproach, I did finish, and it didn't get any better. In fact, far from it. And I just felt oogie at the end of it. That was my big takeaway, is whatever fun this was trying to inject into it, whatever level of gross out, stoner, greasy, macabre humor that was in there, it wasn't funny, it wasn't endearing, it wasn't jovial, it wasn't anything it were trying to be. It just was kind of, ugh. I mean, that's really what it came down to. Whatever they were trying to do, they did not. And that's one thing that I can say about this movie that I can't say about the original. The original, I gave 20 and 10 points to, because I did think that it was trying to be that kind of level of silly, fun, let's just do a really cheesy kind of, killer turkey movie and let's just have some fun with it. And okay, I could get on board with that. But that was just, it was too much. It was too far in this case. All I'll say on it is the general overall premise of ThanksKilling 3 is about the killer turkey coming back and trying to find ThanksKilling 2, which is a sequel they never made, but in this universe they did, and all the copies of it were destroyed because it was the worst movie ever made, but one copy still managed to survive the incineration, and he wants to find it. That's ultimately what this comes down to. And I'm not going to describe anything else about this one, really. For the most part, I don't want to describe this because here's the thing, is from that kind of, couple of stoners sitting on the couch just kind of riffing off each other and, having a good laugh, I don't want to bullet point this one and make the mistake of have it sound endearing. I don't want to say, well, this happened, then this happened, and yeah, that sounds darn silly. That sounds, in the same way that I would say, Monty Python, that, they were clapping the coconuts together because, they were pretending to ride horses. They couldn't afford horses, however you want to say it. And, okay, bullet point, 5-mile overview, that sounds silly. And in reality, it was. I could bullet point this movie, and I don't want to make the mistake of having it sound silly, sound endearing, sound funny, sound, just kind of, light up a spliff and enjoy the movie. Because the reality of it is, however funny it may sound on a bullet point level, it just isn't. Whereas the first movie, I think it did achieve that. If I were to bullet point that and give the general outline of that one, I would say that it matched it. That's why it got 20 intention points. And this one just doesn't. It's trying to be funny. And that's one of the big problems with this movie is the reason that ThanksKilling went from so bad that it's bad, elevated itself to so bad that it's good, and then went too far, went to so bad that it's bad. That level of zaniness, the absolute apex of the manic energy that was injected into the original ThanksKilling movie that made it dip like that, that's where this movie starts. And it gets worse from there. A lot worse. And that's the thing. I was watching this, I'm like, what am I doing? How can I continue this? This is terrible. What the heck am I doing with my life? Somebody press the stop button. I mean, if you want to give this a go, here's my recommendation is maybe kick it on. Maybe watch the first 5 or 10 minutes of it and reevaluate. If you are cringing at that point and you are thinking, well, at least this is as bad as it can get, you're wrong. It will continue getting worse. It will continue getting more over the top. It will continue getting dirtier and grosser, and that same level of comedy just kind of continuing to ramp up. And it's not funny. Ultimately, it just made for an absolute miserable watch. It was terrible through and through. I regret watching this one. That's something that I don't say often, but I do regret watching this one. So if I can take this bullet and dissuade you from watching ThanksKilling 3, then I consider that to be a damned public service. I'm going to throw up all the scores here, not that it really fucking matters. Okay. Here's my wrap-up. I'm not going to do a wrap-up of would I recommend this movie, because that seems like, just kind of horseshit at this point. Here's what I'm going to say, is I might be getting questions about this one, about, is this the worst movie I've ever seen? Because that's honestly a frequent question I get. What's the worst horror movie you've ever seen? And I'm going to say no. This is not the worst movie I've ever seen. It might be a contender for like top 10. The worst movie I've ever seen is still The Dread Ratlin', and I don't know if that one will ever be dethroned. But this is an absolute total failure. And again, I regret watching it. That's really not something you will hear me say very often. I don't care how bad a movie gets. I consider it to be, a little, badge of courage, a little mark on my, I've seen this movie kind of level. And this one's just not worth it. That is my ultimate wrap up. However much you want to watch every bad horror movie out there and go through all the cheese and the schlock, what I will say is that ThanksKilling is worth it. ThanksKilling 3 is not. Unless you're trying to have some really super weird competition with friends, I would just say walk away from this movie. at the very least, give it 5 minutes. Give it 5 minutes of a watch and then reevaluate. That's, if you're absolutely dead set on this one, do that. Time yourself. Set a timer for 5 minutes and then pause. And then really ask yourself, am I enjoying what I'm watching? And if the answer to that is even in the slightest way no, then you are absolutely going to detest the rest of the movie and you're going to kick yourself for having spent the time making it through it. I know I did. Aside from being able to do this review, because I did make that rule, I don't review movies until I watch them all the way through to the end credits. And I watched this one actually all the way through to the end credits and further because, of course, this one had a post-credit sequence that took some of the worst elements of the film and injected them right at the end. But I made it through. And that's not a badge that I wear proudly. It's simply just a matter of fact. And if I can dissuade anybody else from doing this, all the better. So that's about it. Happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your turkey. Avoid this movie. And I will see you Sunday, December 1st, for my first entry in my 2019 Christmas Advent calendar of Christmas horror movies. I look forward to seeing you there. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to support me further, my Patreon and my merchandise storefront links are below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.